Hey y'all, Jeff and Lorena here from Back to Country, and we are in the country, driving in our tractor, getting ready to do some work. Time to cut some trees.
Lots of trees.
We're gonna start clearing that area and see if we can get her cleared out so we can get some dirt out of there and fix our road and make a pond.
But at the same time, once we cut the trees, we are going to chip everything and we are gonna use all of it.
That's right. That's why we got the tractor. Got the chipper hooked up to the PTO on the back, and we're ready to go. So we'll get her over there and start cutting and start chipping. Hey folks, Jeff here at Back to Country. Thanks for stopping by the channel today. How about taking a little walk with me? Let me show you a little bit about what we got going on. You know, one of the great things about just being out here in the woods all the time is it's peaceful. It's always quiet. Hear just the breeze blowing through the trees, and maybe once in a while some animals or whatever. Except when there's a coyote party. You know, if you've never been around coyotes, they tend to celebrate a lot. So a lot of times you'll have a den of coyotes, and this time of year you got the Alpha and Omega, or the mom and pops, whatever you want to call them. And then they'll have you know, however many pups they got. And so in the evening time, when the alpha, or maybe even the alpha and the omega, are heading out for the nightly hunt, there'll be a big party before they head out. And you'll hear them coyotes a yapping and a howling and just carrying on. And then when they make a kill, they'll bring that fresh meal back to the den, and they'll have another celebration. Yapping and hollering and carrying on. That'll go on for a few minutes, and then they'll settle down and eat their meal, I imagine. Well, last night, I don't know what time it was. Middle of the night, probably around 2, maybe 3 in the morning, I woke up to a big party going on. Man, they was a yapping and a hollering. They were really celebrating. So, yeah, I'm not sure how much I enjoy that part, but other than that, it's very peaceful out here. And I always enjoy, you know, taking a walk in the woods. We take walks, I don't know. Just heard some animal out there moving through the brush somewhere. So just me walking and talking was enough to spook something. Adding unusual noise to the woods. Anyway, we usually take a walk once, twice, sometimes 3 times a day. Lorena likes to walk after every meal. I like to take a walk, you know, usually in the morning and the evening. So it's just nice to take a nice peaceful stroll through the woods. Of course, one of the things we got going on right now is some of the trees are changing colors. You can see through there. Got a breeze today, so there's leaves falling. And it's nice when that happens out in the woods, because, you know, it ain't like in the city where all them leaves fall in your yard and just make a mess. You want to rake them up, blow them into a pile, whatever. Out here, we just let them return to nature, because that's how it was intended. And so seeing the leaves drop in the fall is just another piece of evidence of the seasons. Doesn't bother us a bit. I like that. So we're coming over to what we call the Mars landing. Mars being the red planet. So we've got red clay here. And this area was cleared who knows how many years ago when they were logging here. I believe this was like their staging area where they loaded their trucks and skidded the logs up to here, loaded the trucks and hauled them out of here. There was evidence of that, some burn piles and so forth. So it's a nice little landing area. I've got some stuff just parked over here. So that's a water trailer for my drilling rig, concrete pump, and a big giant mower that I need to do some work on. Of course, got the little excavator over here right now, and under this pile of oak branches is a plow. So we've been coming over here and just for a few hours a day doing a little bit of work on starting to clear the trees and stuff out, where we're gonna dig some dirt and hopefully it'll turn into a pond when we're done. And here's a pile of chips. So that chipper that we've got makes really nice chips. I mean, you can see there, the leaves and stuff in there aren't that shredded because it's not a shredder, it's a chipper. But you can see that most of the chips are pretty small size. So we just feed all the branches and everything from the trees in there and let the machine chew them up and spit them out into a pile. If we turn that over or just leave it, whatever, it'll slowly compost, or we can spread it around trees for mulch. A lot of different uses for it. But it's a much better to break the trees down this way than to just pile them up and let them rot over time. The bottom line is that this is a lot more work than just pushing things over with the dozer. I could have easily brought my bulldozer down here and cleared this area, made short work of it. I mean, it would be real easy to just push all these trees down and move them into a pile and leave them. And, over many years they would break down and, basically return to the soil. But that's not the way we're doing it. So our vision of homesteading, I mean, first off, while we call it a homestead, that's just because that seemed to be what everybody calls it nowadays. We call it country living. That's all we're doing. We're just country living. And, part of the idea of living in the country and taking care of the land, being a good steward of the land, it's about utilizing your resources to the fullest extent and, recognizing that the sustainment of those resources is, part of how you take care of the land. And so when we cut a tree, we want to make sure that we're not just cutting it down and letting it rot. I mean, yes, if you cut down a tree and let it rot, that tree does return to the earth over many years. We kind of speed up the process by chipping it, but those chips become an additional resource, whether they turn into compost or whether they we use them as mulch or whatever, I mean, it fertilizes, it does a lot of good. It's a good resource. And so we like to make sure that we try to use all of our resources to maximize our use of the land and to help the land. If it's big enough for firewood, we'll cut it into chunks of firewood. If it's not big enough, then we feed it to the chipper, and we'll do whatever with that. So here we've got a nice stand of pines over here, and we've got a little stand of pines right here. I don't know if I'm gonna keep these pines right here or if I'm gonna take them out. It really is gonna depend on the pond and the dirt. Unfortunately here we got a pile of trash. Somebody who used the property in the past, or maybe somebody just trespassed here way back when and dumped all this. But it looks like you got an old refrigerator there, maybe a couple of refrigerators and some other random junk that somebody has just dumped back here. So sad to find stuff like that, but we'll get it cleaned up. So if we look here, I've got these pines. I kind of cut some low branches. We call that legging them up, and that actually helps the trees to grow taller. Here we've got a dirt pile that was put here whenever they did all this work, and you can see that berm. If we look down the side, we can clearly see this old berm that was here, and it goes all the way up there. So technically these pines here are inside of what would be the pond. And so if I look here back towards Mars Landing and the area above it, you can see a nice slope of the land. So this is an area that catches all that runoff. So the runoff comes from up above, and it'll all run down through here and theoretically fill this ravine, whatever you want to call it, pond bottom, I don't know. So, you know, here you can see some nice wood that I cut up, and that was sweet gum. So sweet gum is I guess you'd call it a semi-hardwood, kind of between a softwood and a hardwood. It's not really good wood, in my opinion. It rots really fast, which means it's more towards the softwood area. And I don't know, it doesn't burn very hot or anything like that. It just, it's not a wood of much use in my opinion. But we still use it. We'll use it in our fire pit, whatever. Still got more trees to cut down, you know, work our way up there. We just kind of go through and start cutting trees and try to pull the debris out to put in the chipper, and you know, we're working our way through slowly but surely. So, you know, walking along this berm, you can see these trees, you know, growing everywhere, on the berm, below the berm. So I want to clear everything obviously inside the berm, because this would theoretically be the pond area. And then of course we're going to dig a bunch of dirt out of here and utilize that dirt in our road project. And that's going to make this thing even deeper. So we're hoping that it will hold water, but looking from here we can see this whole thing slopes downhill as well, and the berm is not as high down there. But I can see areas where the water actually washed over the top of the berm and took it out. So there's no spillway or anything that was built with this. So if we're gonna make this work, we're gonna need to build a spillway and stuff like that too. So it'll be an interesting project. We're not gonna be in a hurry on it. It's gonna take quite a while to do this, because the main reason this project is getting done is because we need the dirt for the road. So the pond is a byproduct. But back here behind this, there's a nice clearing. So my plan is to take out all these trees all the way to the clearing. And that way, as we start to work this, I mean, this berm needs to be taken out and redone. So the plan is to, you know, clear all of this. And, you know, even if this berm gets rebuilt, it'll be rebuilt probably 20 feet back from where it is right now at the edge of the clearing. So that gives the animals plenty of room to walk around the edges of the pond and, you know, stop, get a drink of water or whatever. And they already use that clearing back there as a natural highway, if you will. Try to walk back there and show it to you. So here's a nice little seedling, whatever you want to call it, sapling of a cedar tree. So maybe we'll dig that one up and see if we can relocate it. Lorena likes them cedars, and I like them for their wood value. When they grow up and get big, man, they make some beautiful wood. I love cedar wood. So, you know, we barely got started cutting the trees on this side. Still a long way to go to get back to the end. Can't even see the end of the berm from here. There's so many trees and stuff. But here's the area I was talking about. You can see where this berm has basically washed out here. It's higher on that side, higher on that side. And right here you see where it's kind of smooth and broke down. I don't know how well that shows up in the video, but basically what's happened is there was a breach. This is filled up with water, and then the water had to come over the top because there was no spillway or anything like that. And so it's washed this berm out, and it's lower. And we walk right out back, and here's the clearing I was talking about. So this was probably a, you know, road, whatever, that was used for skidding logs. And so it goes down that way and goes a ways up that way. Now there's plants and stuff growing back because hasn't seen no traffic in several years. So we've got some sumac staghorn sumac growing up in here. And these beautiful purple flowers that are everywhere, that's purple giardia. It's growing wild, and we see a lot of pollinators on it, although I don't, or I haven't seen honeybees working it. I've seen some other bees, I think they were carpenter bees or something, working it. I see some moths and butterflies and other little bugs. So, you know, it's a good pollen source for somebody. And maybe the honeybees work it too. I haven't researched it or anything, and like I say, I just haven't seen any honeybees on it. It's not that they don't work it, it's just that I haven't seen them. Oh wait, no, I'm seeing some honeybees right now actually, I think. We'll see when he comes out, but there's a bee right there, and yeah, that looks like a honeybee covered in pollen, sure enough. So there we have it. We now know that the honeybees do indeed like the purple giardia. So that's cool. I always like flowers that my bees like. If they're finding food, then to me that's a bonus. So anyway, I'm going to clear all these trees out here. So I'm about probably 20 feet behind the berm right now. And so what I want to do is go ahead and push that berm back, clear all these trees, and bring that clear out to the edge of this clearing. So there'll still be a game trail through here where the animals can walk through. And I like that because we like to take care of the wildlife as well, because in reality that's another resource. Whether it's deer that we may eat, hogs that we may eat, or just you know, other animals that contribute to the ecosystem. The reality is that they're here, they're natives here, and we're blessed to have them. So we do what we can to take care of those as well. And you know, now that doesn't mean we won't manage them as well. So like I mentioned, them coyotes, we got coyotes, raccoons, skunks, foxes. We got a lot of predators. So at any time those predators become a challenge, you know, a threat to our livestock, once we have livestock, then we will of course deal with them accordingly. But for now, I leave them be. They ain't bothering me, I ain't bothering them. Wow. There's a nice stand of beautiful poison ivy, or poison ivy. So, got some of that out here too. Always gotta be aware of your surroundings. Don't want to get into that stuff and get it on you. So I'm walking in on the other end of this pond area. So this is the lower end, I guess. And you can see there's some deep ruts here that were most likely caused from four-wheelers riding in here when it was muddy. Because there's like a little road over here that folks used to ride four-wheelers on. We haven't used it in a while, so I should probably clear it sometime to continue and maintain the trail, but not a priority. So we'll clear all these trees out of here, and then we'll have to build this berm back up again. And like I say, we're gonna have to create a spillway at some point. Place for the water to drain, overflow, you know. Whether that means we'll just put a culvert at the top or whatever, we'll figure that out. That way, you know, when we do get a real heavy rain, it doesn't breach the dam, so to speak, the whatever, berm, dam, same thing for the most part. So yeah, I mean, this is pretty cool in here. We're real excited about this project, but you know, we can't get in a hurry. It's going to take some time. Here's my test pit still here. I didn't fill it back in, no sense in doing it because we're just gonna dig anyway. So, and there's another shot. So it's not a real big area. It won't make a giant pond. It'll be a small pond, and of course, you know, we're gonna take the dirt out here, see how it turns out, and then we will, you know, see how it ends up. We'll watch when we get rain again. It hadn't rained in over a month. When we get rain again, we'll watch it fill up once we're done taking the dirt out of there and everything, and see how it holds water, see how long it holds water. You know, if it stays full, then who knows, maybe we'll put some catfish in there or something eventually. But we're just gonna take it one step at a time and not worry. And there is our good friend Whiskey. He found us. How's it going, buddy? How's it going? So yeah, that's where we're at on that project. Appreciate y'all, you know, sticking with us, hanging out with us as we take a little walk. Got Whiskey and Lorena coming through now, going down to pick some Farkle berries. So I posted on our Facebook page about some plants, and when I did the identity stuff on them, I've run it many times, it always comes back as Farkle berry, Sparkle berry, Huckleberry, high bush blueberry. So it tends to identify as all these different plants that are all relatives, and they're all relatives of the blueberry. And so I put a post out and I said, you know, I listed all those names and said, what do you call it? And then I started getting people calling it all different stuff, and not even stuff I talked about, and trying to identify it for me, and that really wasn't my intent. But like here, you can see this one here, it's covered in dried berries there that, you know, got ripe and never picked. Those are some smaller ones, but it's a Farkle berry. Looking at Foraging Texas and some different identifying qualities, it's a Farkle berry, that's what it's called. Relative of the blueberry. They're not as good eating to me. They've got little tiny seeds in them, and I don't know, they're kind of a sweet tart. I prefer a big old fat plump blueberry that's full of meat and juice. These are little tiny things that are kind of grainy feeling. They're not as soft as blueberries, they're kind of harder, but if you pick a bunch of them and eat them, they actually do have a decent flavor to them. And of course, people say you can make jellies and jams and all that. So I mean, if I made jellies and jams with every single wild plant we got out here that you can make jellies and jams with, man, we'll have a lot of jellies and jams. We don't eat that much jellies and jams because all the sugar and everything that goes into them. And if you want to make preserves, you really need fruits that have more, you know, meat and natural sugars. And then you can make preserves, and they're not as, I guess, unhealthy or whatever. I'm fat enough just because I like food. So I sure don't need more sugar. I like sugar enough, believe me, especially in ice cream. Yeah, it's amazing how fast everything grows. So we've had this property for just over 10 years now. When we got it, it was pretty much clear cut. It was cut in 2010, so 12 years ago. And now the trees are, you know, getting tall everywhere. So this whole road's becoming more of a corridor than a road. I mean, it's still a road. You can drive through it and everything, but I mean, you try to drive your pickup through here or something, you're gonna probably get scratches on it from the trees or whatever. So I keep telling Lorena I need to cut stuff back and try to maintain these roads for vehicles, but she likes the trees, likes the way it closes in and creates canopies and whatever, you know, so it ain't a priority. But it is beautiful to walk through, that's for sure. And like I say, now with the colors change into fall, when the sunlight hits it just right, it can be extra beautiful. And I like just walking through and, you know, identifying different trees and looking at the resources of the earth, you know, and what's here. And it's amazing. I mean, for example, this tree right here is a native plum, and I've got a whole bunch of them through here, and we actually have several different patches of them throughout the property. So what happens is the hogs come through, they eat the plums, and then they redistribute the seeds throughout the property. And you know, probably the raccoons get some too and do the same thing. And then next thing you know, we got a new batch of plum trees popping up. And so in the springtime, when the plums are on the trees, we can walk around and just pick plums and eat them. They're not very big. They're, you know, about the size of a quarter, maybe a little bit bigger, but they're delicious. I mean, they taste like good plums. Someday we'll plant our own plum trees, of course, you know. I like a good Santa Rosa plum is one of my favorites, so definitely got plans to plant some of those. And of course here, you know, the Alpine holly. These leaves, take them, dry them out, and they make a wonderful tea. It's not a lot of tannins in those leaves, so they're not that bitter. They're just makes a real smooth, delicious tea. And to me, the flavor of it, you know, if I drink Lipton's or Louisiana or any of them other teas out there, I mean, they taste like tea, and that's what that tastes like to me. It's pretty close to the same as any other tea, so I was pleasantly surprised when we tried that. And of course, that being the only plant that is actually native to North America that has natural caffeine in it, it's just a good resource, good to know, because I admittedly am a caffeine addict.
Good morning, everyone. I'm harvesting Farkle berries.
So, Lorena over here picking some Farkle berries. And so there's, you know, a good shot. You can see that they do look like little blueberries. I mean, here's a nice one. This is probably your average size right here, you know, or maybe it's a big one, I don't know, but it's got the little telltale end, you know, just like on a blueberry. And of course the color, it's a dark blue. And if I smash it, it's full of juice. And
it tastes really good. They're a little bit sour, a little bit sweet, you know, just the right amount of both. Really good. With oatmeal or yogurt, or put it on cereal, or you can make jams or preserves, or you can put it in smoothies.
Lorena had some on oatmeal this morning.
Oh, they were delicious. Yeah, I picked up some yesterday, and then I said, no, tomorrow I'll come and get much more. So definitely all these are coming with me.
All right. So we appreciate you joining us and sharing this beautiful morning with us. But we're going to get to work and pick some Farkle berries. Y'all take care now.